Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I teach you different ways that you can improve your level of English. One of the biggest problems that people trying to learn English have is learning how to pronounce different words, especially because English is not a phonetic language. There are many different rules you need to memorize or know in order to be able to correctly pronounce words. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to pronounce ed endings in English. First, we're going to start with verbs. How to pronounce ed at the end of a verb. The past simple tense and past participle of all regular verbs end in ed. For example, want, which is the base verb, wanted, wanted. Wanted is the past simple tense and wanted is the past participle. Talk, talked, talked. Play, played, played. But you'll hear that the ed endings all sound differently. Let's listen again. Wanted, wanted. Talked, talked. Played, played. So why is this? Well, that's what we're going to discuss in this video. So how do we pronounce the ed in past regular verbs? We pronounce ed in 3 different ways. The first is id, id. And listen carefully. Wanted, painted. The second one is t, t. Talked, stopped. We don't say talked or stopped, and a lot of times when people are reading English out loud, they have a tendency to read it like talked or stopped because they know that with many words it is wanted or painted, but that is incorrect. It's talked, stopped. And the last one is just a D sound. Played, rained. Maybe you're wondering what's the difference between wanted and played. Well, wanted has an extra syllable. It's want-id. The id adds an extra syllable at the end. The first syllable would be want, and the second syllable, id. Just like paint-id. But in the last one, played, it's just one syllable, okay? So how can you know which way to pronounce ed correctly? Ed is pronounced like id with an extra syllable after verbs ending in t and d sounds. Examples: end, ended, load, loaded, paint, painted, want, wanted. You can see that the end of all these words end in a d sound, d, t, and t. And because of that, we have to pronounce the ed like id. But there is something important to note. It is the sound that is the most important thing, not the letter or the spelling. The ending sound is the most important thing. So for example, hate, it ends with the letter E, but ends with the sound T. So hate becomes hated because it ends with the sound T, not E, okay? So some more examples: guard, guarded, start, started, decide, decided, hate, hated, intend, intended, admit, admitted, need, needed, infect, infected. So now let's listen to some sentence examples, and I'm going to say them more naturally at a faster pace so you can hear the difference while I'm speaking. I needed to talk to you last night. Jack wanted to go to the meeting, but he was ill. He decided to apply for a new job. So before I teach you about the d and t pronunciation of ed, I need to teach you about voiced and voiceless sounds. You might wonder why, but that has to do with when we know when to use a d pronunciation and a t pronunciation. Some consonant sounds are voiced and some are voiceless. You can tell if a sound is voiced or not by putting your fingers or hand on your throat. When you say a sound, if you can feel a vibration, it is a voiced sound. So I want you to put your fingers or your hand on your throat for the next exercise. So I want you to compare the difference between these two sounds. We're going to compare the Z or Z sound with S. The z sound is voiced, so place your fingers on your throat and make the sound z, z. You should feel a vibration on your fingers when you're making that sound, z, z. However, if you make the s sound, s, s, this sound is voiceless because you should feel no vibration on your fingers when you make that sound. Now, the reason we're discussing voiced versus voiceless sounds is because this relates to how you will pronounce ed. So first we're going to review these different voiced sounds. All of these different verbs here end in a sound that has a vibration. So live, open, close, answer, pull. All of these verbs end in voiced sounds. And why is that important? Well, if it ends in a voiced sound, we're going to pronounce the ed at the end in the past simple or past participle with a d. So live becomes lived. Open becomes opened. Close becomes closed. Answer becomes answered. Pull becomes pulled. And all of these will now end with the pronunciation of ed just as d. However, over here, all of these end in voiceless sounds, where you will not feel a vibration. Ask, hope, watch, wash, and laugh. So when we make these into the past simple or into the past, we will pronounce them in the past with a T. So ask becomes asked. Hope becomes hoped. Watch, watched. Wash, washed. Laugh, laughed. So let's do a bit more practice now. ed pronounced as t. So verbs that end in a voiceless sound, we pronounce the ed as t. So here are different voiceless sounds. P, k, s, ch, sh, f, x. So p, we have help becomes helped. Hope becomes hoped. Now like, this ends in a k sound. Like, liked. Work, worked. The next one, s. Kiss, kissed. Dance, danced. Now, although this ends in a ce, it has a s sound, so it ends like danced. Watch, watched. Reach, reached. Wash, washed. Push, pushed. Laugh, laughed. Cough, coughed. Fix, fixed. Wax, waxed. Because all of these end in voiceless sounds without a vibration, we pronounce the ed as t. Now we're going to look at some sentence examples, and I'm going to say these sentences in my normal speed of voice. I worked 10 hours yesterday. She helped her mother make dinner. The mechanic fixed the car. Now we're going to look at ed pronounced as d. So verbs that end in a voiced sound, again that's a sound with a vibration, we pronounce the ed as d. So ul, call, called, fill, filled. Now try pronouncing n. Again, for all of these sounds, you feel a vibration. So these are voiced sounds. N, clean, cleaned, plan, planned. Enter, entered, share, shared. The next one is g or j. Damage, damaged, plug, plugged. V, love, loved, save, saved. Z, use, used. Analyze, analyzed. B, describe, described. Disturb, disturbed. Claim, claimed. Scream, screamed. Allow, allowed. Show, showed. Play, played, annoy, annoyed. Also, there's an important note that words that end in a vowel sound, which is also voiceless, we also use the D pronunciation for ED, because the vowel sound also ends in a voiceless vibration sound. So argue, argued, free, freed, try, tried. Now let's look at some sentence examples. The children played video games all night. My boss allowed me to go home early. I managed to finish all my work by 5 o'clock. Now I'd also like to note that we have some exceptions. So the following ED words used as adjectives are pronounced with id. So for all of the work that we've been doing up until now, these have all been verbs in the past simple or the past participle. But there are some exceptions for these words that are adjectives, and not all of these are verbs, but a few of them can also be verbs. So when these are used as adjectives, we have to pronounce them with id. So this, as an adjective, is ragged. Cinderella wore a ragged dress. This, as an adjective, is learned. My grandfather was a learned man. Wicked. The wicked witch made an evil potion. Crooked. The crooked cop stole drugs. Naked. The naked man ran through the streets. Wretched. My old teacher was a wretched woman. Blessed. Blessed be the fruit. But when used as real verbs, past simple and past participle, the normal rules apply. And we would say, for example, the priest blessed the child, because in this case, this would be a verb. The students learned a lot at school, because in this case, learned would be a verb. So only when you're using these as adjectives would you pronounce these words with an ID, id. Okay, so I know that is a lot of information, so make sure to bookmark this video if you need help. A lot of this is memorization and practice, but it is a good trick to know about voiceless sounds and voice sounds to help you if you're ever confused about how to pronounce one of these words. So now we're going to do a little bit of practice. Can you put these verbs in the correct ED pronunciation category? So we have these words right here, and we have id, t, and d. And all of these are verbs, okay? So in the comment section, I want you to write your answers for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I want you to place these verbs right here into the correct category, whether these will end with an id pronunciation, t, or d. So thank you once again for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and if you like the video, please click like. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one. Thanks again.